So, in light of recent events, I'm not sure if you've heard, I'm sure you have, the Google memo and this whole situation. You being a woman of color in tech, in the coding industry in general, what's your take on that?
Yeah.
How does that make you feel, and where do we go from there?
Yeah. So I did hear about it and read the articles and the stories that were online. And I'd have to say my initial thought was just that it was ridiculous, all of the claims that he made. But I'd say my first response was to check in on our female students to see if they, one, were up to date on it and had heard that this was, going on and being talked about, and then what their take was on it. Because we're working with young girls, many who are young women of color, who have only been introduced to the field of STEM for probably like the past year or two. And so they're new and they're newly growing in this. And I think being new in this field, many would think that they might be more fragile or could be more impacted. Yes, right, exactly. And impacted by this in a negative way of hearing that kind of, I guess, exclusion in the field. And I think what was awesome, though, was that talking to so many of our female students, that they immediately just wrote it off. They were like, no, we do belong here, clearly, because we're doing this. So it was kind of like, instead, they were confident in their abilities, and I loved that. I loved that somebody telling you that you aren't as smart or couldn't do as much
because of biology.
Exactly, are biologically so different that there's no way you could succeed in this field. When so many of the amazing innovations that have come out of tech were by women at the beginning. So exactly. So it's kind of like I loved that. I think the moral of the story of the point is that I loved that so many of our girls did not let that affect them or weren't impacted. But instead, so for many of our students, they were taught by a female instructor. And so that's all that they know of. So our young girls who are growing up and working in this field are learning the trade. When it comes to coding, they don't think that a woman wouldn't belong there because that's all that they've seen. And so, they're just confident in it and willing to go after this and not willing to let it defeat them at all. So I think what I just want to do is keep doing everything that I can to keep that confidence building, that confidence growing. And we already do that even with the girls who have been through our program, then coming back and mentoring other girls through the program. And so, I think that that's incredible because then everyone has a story to share and a story to tell. So then seeing our girls who have learned how to code, then teaching other young girls how to code is pretty incredible and an awesome cycle that we're starting right now.
That gives me hope.
Yeah, see?
I'm hopeful. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And so what about underrepresented minorities in code? Do you think that flash forward 20 years, will the face of coding change? Will it be a little darker?
Yeah, that was nice. I think that it already is. In terms of how many more women and underrepresented minorities are getting into the field, how many, when you look at our students even, just seeing students of all different kinds of backgrounds in that classroom all working on the same kind of things, that I think that that's awesome. I think that the representation matters in any field that you're in, and in particular in tech, because there aren't as many minorities or women in tech. So I know one story that always comes to mind is in one of our code school programs, we had a class where there was only one girl enrolled. It has since not happened, but there was that one where we had only one young lady who was enrolled in the class, and she looked across the room and saw all of the boys and that she was the only girl, and it hit. That was the first moment where she realized that she was the only girl in the classroom, and burst out into tears. And she said that, this is why coding is only for boys. I shouldn't be here. I can't do this. And immediately, my sensors are going off because I'm like, no, that's not true. You should, that's even more reason why you should be here. So instead, I was able to come over and talk with her and told her that I was one of the co-founders of the program. So instead being able to say, hey, I started this and you and I are in this together, I'm gonna sit right next to you, we'll get through this, we'll code together, we'll build awesome projects. And that was what changed it around for her, was being able to see someone who was like her in the room, who has a passion for this kind of stuff, and it immediately dispelled any doubts that she had of thinking that this wasn't a field or a world for her to be in.
And did she get through?
Oh yeah, she made it through, and she, kind of interesting, beat out most of the boys. But she did, she did great. And she built her game and then was able to do the presentation at the end. And rocked it, she was awesome. So yeah, it's definitely just interesting seeing that, but then it does let you know that representation really does matter.
It does,
yeah, it's
Seems
important.
like it takes that courage, that initial courage to kind of get over the hump.
Right.
And then once you get into it with good mentorship, then it works.
Yeah, then you're able to do it. You're able to do it. And then if that mentorship is there, then that makes it even easier for getting over that hump. But maybe one day then there won't be that hump of, you're able to just walk right in because you feel like you belong there.